good morning, and happy New Year. Good morning. Let's get ourselves set up here, and we'll give folks a chance to find us. Raul is off and running. January 5th at about 11:15. We continue. We got short 5 micros. We had a beginning balance of 30,000. We had a few trades. We didn't do a whole lot during the Christmas season, and we opted on December 29th to sit tight. Our balance was around 30,000, maybe 30,500. It's the same 30. We didn't add to it. We didn't withdraw or anything. We will rebalance that number usually on a weekly basis, but we chose just to sit tight. Fortunately, nothing really outrageous happened over the holidays. Hopefully, although of course the tragedy in I think it was in Switzerland. But so we're short five micro contracts, and we continue to be short, and so we're going to try to sit on them. It's drawn us back, but we're going to try to sit tight, and we'll get back to our active trading here, most likely either this afternoon or maybe even tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see if we can catch a little bit of a pullback. And we'll give you a view here in a minute. We'll let folks, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. And we do have some things going on in the world. Of course, you've all heard and read about the mission to remove Maduro. I think that was maybe the easy part. Now comes the hard part. I'm pretty skeptical on this stuff too, by the way. I think that it may have been more theater than reality. I think one of those people may have been bought off. And I'm a little surprised he didn't get himself out of there. So I'm not sure just what that is. I don't think it's about drugs. I'm confused. Profit showing in column, profit P&L is different. Let's see. I am confused. Profit showing in column and profit in P&L box are different. Yeah, you're talking about this one here and this one up here. What that is, this is tick for tick. So this one's every couple of seconds. That one up there. Yeah, that's what it is. We can actually tighten that up a little bit, and maybe I should. I won't deal with it now, but this is tick for tick. This is coming from the account view, and of course this is unrealized. So yeah, very good eye. So if you're noticing that, yeah, it's like, well, how come that one's not matching that one? Because this is a feature. It's called the position window. It's a feature to TradeStation, and I think we have it set. I don't want to go in there and mess with the settings right now because I don't think I can see them all. But you can set it like every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds, and I think it's like every 1 or 2 seconds. It really should be every tick. So I'll make it a point to change that. So that's what you say. But this is every tick, and of course this is the realized P&L, which is nothing. We haven't closed anything, so nothing's been realized yet. Yeah, that's why. Good eyes, good eyes. Of course, now that the image is nearly perfect, it should be very, very good for you. And also, too, the latency is about about 2 seconds, about 2.5 seconds. The latency, which is about as good as we can do, courtesy of YouTube. Right now, if you have these tools on your desktop, TradeStation is sending us the data, all this data in 10 milliseconds. That's what it is, 10 milliseconds. And everyone gets it, God knows how this works, but everyone gets it provided you have, a high speed. And we have I get for residential, probably the fastest speed that one can get. And the blink of an eye is 400 to 600 milliseconds. And so there's 1,000 milliseconds in a second. So if that position window is off by like a couple of seconds, that's why you're able to pick up on it. Yeah. So no. but that's what that is. But if you're looking to trust one, it's this one here. Do you think 10 milliseconds is still a big lag? No, 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 no. No, you can't get any faster unless, of course, you're talking 1 second is 1,000 milliseconds. So again, a blink of an eye is 400 to 600. You're getting the data. The TraceStation is sending the data out to everybody at 10 milliseconds. So that data's got to come through. Now, if now I don't think they're doing this with futures, but they are doing it with options, right? And if you have multi-million-dollar computer systems connected by laser and you're collated right next to the New York Stock Exchange or the New Jersey Exchange up there, and you're trading in milliseconds and trying to front run in your Citadel, yeah, maybe, but we're not doing that. Most people aren't doing that. It doesn't. No, no, nope. In negligible. Really remarkable though when you stop and you think about where we were, right? I can remember, oh God, I mean, you'd put in an order and you'd wait, not with TradeStation, but with other brokerages, you could wait, minutes. Now, of course, the futures are highly liquid, right? The difference between the bid and the ask is a tick wide, and they're very, very liquid, especially during normal session hours. Now options, I mean, it could take you hours to get your price, right? And so that's why too we don't trade options we don't deliberately, we don't set out to trade options intraday because they're not enough liquidity there for us. But we will trade options. That makes sense. All right. So what I want to do is we're going to give everybody a chance to sign in. Let's just take a peek at what Swing Machine has done here. Now, we haven't taken all these trades, but we have members that most certainly have taken some of these. You can rest assured. I am asking because my trader server is showing 1.2 millisecond lag. MetaTrader server showing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to quibble over in nine milliseconds. It's not going to be a big deal to me. But again, you're looking at the delay of that we roughly estimate, and it could fluctuate. YouTube is imposing right now about it's about 2.6, 2.7 milliseconds. So that would be noticeable to you. I think you would be hard pressed if you were to put your screen, if you had you say you have a MetaTrader server, you have MetaTrader and you have TradeStation beside. I don't think you could perceive. I know you couldn't. I don't think you could perceive there to be a difference if you had them side by side on your computer. Because, like I say, a blink of an eye is 400, 600. So by the time your eyes even shift, you wouldn't be able to see it. Let's go take a peek at what's going on here. First thing, we look at the VIX, and the VIX is long, huh? So let's just highlight this. Whoops. And we'll see how this plays out, right? So we have the VIX on a 5-minute long at 10:45. So that is actually should be a caution. Please don't trade off of this, right? But that should be a caution to everybody that maybe this little rally here that we're having this morning isn't going to sustain itself. Because usually it's the inverse. It hasn't occurred yet, right? It's had plenty of time. Let's go take a look at the 5-minute ES. The 5-minute ES goes long at what time? 8:55. 8:55. And if you took it, With a mini, you're up, 1687, 1700. If you took it with a micro, you're up 170 bucks. If you took it with 10 minis, you're up 17 grand. Let's take a look at the NQ. 835. 24. Let's take a look at the Dow. We may have the big oil companies getting all excited about Venezuela. 9 a.m., 3,400. And I'm going to sneeze. Sorry about that. Big sneeze. And here is, here is the Russell, which is an indicator in and of itself. That was at 3:20 a.m. and that's up 1,600. Big move on the Russell. So they're in a speculative mood here. And then we'll check out gold. Gold's been running since last night. Well, this one went off at 9:15, so it's been in and out. 1,700 on gold. And then check out silver, just not backing off, even though they keep increasing the margin. 9,200. And then oil. So Swing Machine is doing its job. We'll take these down. And your job, our job as a trader, is to extract the cash flow. Now, at the moment, I generally like to, I have this little routine anyways, but during the Christmas holidays, I don't generally trade too much usually, and we didn't this year. We kind of, just catching our breath. And as a general rule, on Monday mornings, I usually just kind of let it, especially at the start of the year, just kind of let the market come to us. So we'll see while we're here. If you have any questions on who we are, what we're about, don't hesitate. And let me go back. Oh, no problem. And I thank you. And, as we get underway for this year, we're active traders, right? So we're not trying to, when we do this, we're not trying to prove an outcome. We're not trying to suggest to everybody that this is something that you should do. So I know you guys, many of you have heard this ad nauseum, but for those that might be coming by the first time or second time, I feel compelled to make sure that everyone understands this. We've been doing this a long time, man. In fact, I got an anniversary notice from Twitter. 14 years since we signed up at Twitter. It was January 1 of 2012. Wow. But Susan and I have been actively trading since the early 2000s, and then Stock Market Caddy really came out of the ground around 2011, 2012, thereabouts. And we don't really advertise, so we're never going to have hundreds of thousands of members, and I hope if people judge us on that, they judge us on that. That's fine, but we don't really advertise, and we just kind of grow word of mouth. We're real people trading real money, trying to extract cash flow from the money flow. We don't manage anyone's money. We don't make as well any claims of success. We don't. We're a mentoring service for those folks that want to trade the markets, trade actively to varying degrees, right? That's defined by you, and extract cash flow from the market. And it could be with futures, it could be with options, and you can use these same tools though, which we're going to show you in a moment from an investing standpoint too. I'm going to show you that in a minute. We'll try to showcase things. So what we will be trying to do, we generally keep this view on the NASDAQ as opposed to going from different markets day in and day out. Although I have 5 to 7 futures markets that are my go-to markets. I may not trade them all in one day, probably not likely, but we generally will trade them all in a week's time. Susan has her 5 to 7. Then we also have a cluster of option markets that we will trade, and that's what we do. And then we also invest, not terribly invested at the moment, but we will. And an investment for us is something that we plan on holding hopefully for years. I'm going to use some of the tools, and we'll show you that in a moment, but you can use the same tools. What we will be doing this year is we're going to try, I don't want to make a hard commitment that it's going to be every day, um, because we have vacations and so forth. But if we do punch up on a given day, look for us around the middle part of the day, around noon. I'm going to just say around noon. It might be 11:15 as it was today, but look for us, in the middle part of the day. Now, that said, if you're following us on Twitter or on YouTube and you push the notification button, if we punch up live, you'll get a notification. And we might do that. It might be at 11 o'clock at night or 9, whenever. We might do that. The other part of the days are spent focus on our own trading and also focus on Stock Market Caddy. We are underway with Q schools, what we call Q schools. For those folks that want to be annual members, they must go through once what we call a Q school, and we're trying to keep those Q schools more defined, more regimented for everyone. So we maximize the person's time and our time in the morning or in the afternoon. Sometimes we'll do evening sessions if a person's in another part of the world, which we're prepared to do. If you are in another part of the world, the question you want to ask yourself, though, if you're thinking of becoming an annual member, do you have access to the same TradeStation platform that we have here in the States? And I'll just leave it at that. So that may be something that you would want to check out first. So in any case, now like I say, it may not be every day. The more participation we get, though, right? The more people that we watch or that watch, we're still always going to do it, even for a handful. But if it should catch and we get 30, 40, 50 people, on a daily basis, if you guys are retweeting us or punching us up into trading rooms and we start getting more and more questions and quite frankly, interest is held, then we may be more apt to do it, right? So, are we seeing only a dashboard here? Can we check chart during the trade? Yeah, I mean, we can look at charts. Right now, the view here is on Swing Machine. And we will change when we punch up during the day. We'll take a peek at a moment. But we use a number of different charts. And of course, if these tools are on your desktop, you can configure them any way you would want. So let's go take a peek. Wants to take a look at a chart. Wants to see that horizon. And so let's go. I think it's right here. Nope, right here. So this is one chart. Here is the 5-minute in Q, 5-minute in Q, and this chart happens to be a Renko chart. That's what this is here. And you can see the pivot information on the chart, and you should also be able to see the pivot. Now we have to size these things down. No, I don't have it on here. I will. So this screen size, even though we have wide screens, we have nice big wide screens, we have to knock this thing down to 1920 by 1080 to accommodate YouTube. Otherwise, if we shoot our entire screen and then the streaming tool does its magic and sizes it to YouTube, the image gets a little bit distorted. So we've got this. Even though I have a widescreen, I have this dedicated to a YouTube view. But we will show you. What you might be interested to know is what. So this has a trading program on it. And by the way, where is the pivot point? Pivot point's right here. We're right on top of it, give or take. 25,481. The R1 is 25,704.25, so we're right up against the R1. It doesn't mean don't go just flat out getting short up here. And the R2 is up in here at 26,023. And as a general rule, when I get up in here, I'm thinking about taking more fades, and when I'm down on the S1, S2, S3, I'm thinking about taking more buys. The machine has been trading since midnight here on this screen, and when I say it's been trading, it hasn't been going into the account, but as you can see the trades on the screen. And the computer has not been off, so there shouldn't be any distortions here. I'll explain in a moment. So let's go to the strategy performance report, and let's go to the periodical. So for today, since midnight, if we had taken every single trade, which would have been 7, we would have been profitable in 57%, which isn't that, the percent profitable isn't that important to us generally. But what is important is the profit factor is 1.30, fairly narrow, but in the net for $545. But 1.3, even 1.2, even 1.1, when you have a machine that's doing the trading, then a profit factor of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, even 1. Is fine. I'm totally fine with that. Now, if I'm trading manually and I'm putting on the trades and day after day after day, I got like 1.3, 1.2. I'm going to be feeling this is like digging holes in the backyard or something. It's going to be really hard. I'm going to feel worn out. If you're not tracking your profit factor and you're only tracking the money, you're kind of doing a disservice to yourself. So we'll go back and let me just take a sip of water and what we want to do. So we're seeing here now, so this is the signal comes through here. So you see, and we have 1 minute, right? We used to have 135, but with a smaller screen, it gets a little busy, so we got 1 and 5. If you have this on your desktop, you set it up whatever way you want. I mean, you don't even have to trade this fast, right? I mean, you could be trading a 15-minute, or you could be trading, a tick count. I mean, you could be trading 500 ticks. But generally what we'll see is we'll see the 1 minute. We'll obviously see more trades on the 1 minute than we will on the 5. And you'll see the selling pressure coming in. And you see it. I mean, you see this here. This is the signal itself. This is actually the signal, is when we'll pick on this one. See the Dow right here? It's short. And it's 2 minutes. And notice this 2 minute just got shrouded in white. Now, don't take this trade, right? But as an example here, just because it's in front of us, I'm going to point out. So now it goes short. It goes short at 49,268 at 1136. And if you had taken it, give or take a tick or two, that's where you'd be. You'd be down $65 or so thereabouts. It is trending down. Also shows you on the fair gauge where you are. However, what type of trade is this? Well, the 1 minute, it is seeking trend. But in relation to the 5 minute, it's actually a counter trend. Why? Because the 5 minute is long, right? So just because it's a signal and just because it says go short, you don't want to be like, okay, I'm short. All right, yeah. Trading is a just like golf. It's a little bit of a game. It is a game. I mean, it's a little bit of finesse here. So when we are teaching how to use Swing Machine, which takes us 1 to 2 days, to explain the nuances of it, and then it takes a few weeks maybe for a person to get pretty acclimated. But we got to be, during the Q School, you're working with it. You have the tool on your desktop, and you're working with other tools as well. But it takes a few days to at least get acclimated, and then hopefully over a period of weeks get pretty proficient. But the 1 minute is a counter trend to the 5 trend, right? And in the beginning, we have everybody waving off the counter trends because they will fail. They will fail. Um, and we may be seeing that here as well, right? There's still technically a short here, um, and you're seeing. I can't take the time to explain the nuance here, but I will address something too in a moment. So if this long entry sustains itself, we'll see it, turn. So what you're trying to do though is you're trying to get into the direction of the trend. Now, as I pointed this out, what I want to make sure that I mention, especially um, for those that may be passing through on YouTube, this is not a red light, green light, you know. Okay, and here is the 2 minute now confirming, excuse me, the 1 minute confirming on a 2 minute in the direction of the 5. So this has a greater propensity to be more successful and quicker because it's in the direction of the trend. We'll see how it plays out. But what I wanted to explain is the code that is running Swing Machine is about 800 lines, soon to get a little bit larger because we're working on some things. We jealously, this is our flagship product, and we jealously protect it and don't change it very, very often, if at all. But what I wanted to explain is if you are watching this with a critical eye, which is fine, and you should, understand that there is no magical code. There is no, Bible code to the price action of the market. Right? So you just have to dispense with that. Also, too, the market is you don't have fixed points, right? You don't have so we draw the comparison. Like for instance, we you may have heard this, but we'll repeat it because people may be hearing it for the first time. So if we draw the comparison to like what is the market and what is this price action, you'll hear people say it's a random walk, and you can't do this and you can't do that because it's all random. Yeah, okay. So let's think about this for a minute. When ships would cross from Europe to find the new America, or cross wherever, to discover the islands, discover the world, the new world, they didn't have GPS. So how could they navigate, right? And what they would use is something called a sextant, and they would navigate off of the horizon. They would plot where they were. They would plot the horizon, and then they would plot a fixed star or constellation. And they were fixed, right? And they could triangulate and navigate their ship on the ocean to wherever they wanted it to go. The market, the points in the price action day in and day out are not fixed. They're not fixed. Therefore, we cannot triangulate from one day to the next, 1 week to the next at any time. You can't triangulate. Well, then Jesus Christ, I ain't playing. If you can't triangulate and you can't tell me A squared B squared equals C squared, then I don't want to play. Well, hold on a minute. Hold on. We may not be able to triangulate, but what we're also doing, as we stay with the metaphor of the ship captain, he's got to plot, to find the islands. He is triangulating, but he's also got to steer the ship, right? So I like to watch that show. I haven't watched it in a while. I guess I get back to watching it, but I used to like to watch that show where they catch the crab off of the Pacific Northwest, right? They go into the Bering Sea, and they drive their ships and their drop their crab pots over the side. The Bering Sea sometimes is very flat, sometimes it's raging, and it always amazes me that it looks like it's a pretty easy job, right? I mean, how easy, you get to be a captain on one of those boats, I mean, you're sitting on your ass, you're just driving the boat. It's the guys on the deck that are really doing all the physical work. I mean, how hard can that be, right? Just sitting there. Those guys make millions of dollars too who own those boats. But it's probably one of those things that it looks a hell of a lot easier than it actually is, right? I'm sure that's the case, right? But how is it they're able to do that? And in that instance, they're not well, they still have, they have the GPS and they have all the, the navigation tools there, but they still have to steer the boat based on the surface of the ocean, right? And they have waves coming this way, waves going that way, waves coming this way, sometimes it's flat. So the market, to me, when I'm looking at the market and when we were designing Swing Machine, we weren't trying to necessarily triangulate the market, because it is moving like that. So what we're more trying to do is to map the surface of the ocean, the waves, wave in, wave out, that sort of thing. Now everyone wants to think, and it doesn't use it. Everyone starts, moving averages, right? You can't get this type of price discovery using moving averages. You just can't. Not on multiple time frames. I mean, it's a mess. You'll be all over the place. Um, that said, when Swing Machine is down here at a 1 minute level, and it has a rotation to it. The code has a rotation, which I'm not going to take the time to go through the rotation. Now, we do explain this for folks that are in the Q school, right? We do explain it in greater detail. But when we're down here at a 1 minute level or less, a tick level, the rotation can appear to be more chaotic, like it's skipping a sprocket. So the code is written in a circular, which a lot of code is, we found out later, is written in a circular routine, in a circular pattern. And so it's kind of like the sprocket on your bicycle. So at the smaller levels, 1 minute or a tick level, when you go down there, the code is hard coded, and there's no fault to it. It's doing what it's doing over and over again. But if the market gets really, really fast, or people start throwing, or other machines start throwing in a shitload of market orders, the code can appear to, or the rotation appear to skip a beat. Now, it isn't an error to the code. It's like skipping, your sprocket. So I'm hearing sirens in our neighborhood. I don't like that. So we do explain that to our members in detail, and explain where it is and how to handle it, how to think about it. Now, as you move up, to 3 minute, which happens to be one of my favorite intervals, 3 minute, but as you move up to 5 minute, then the noise level in that, the chance of a sprocket miss like that, or a skip, becomes very unlikely. So it becomes more stable, right? So at a low level, and it's fine. I mean, you can start out. Hold on. So, folks will start out saying that, they want to trade really, really fast, but it's up to you. Like, sometimes we're trading really, really fast, and then sometimes we're not. Like, even over the holidays, I wasn't trading that much, wasn't trading that fast. It's still, it's you're going to define that, and it may not be the same thing every single day, and it's not going to necessarily be the same thing on every single market, right? It's so you've got to be I mean, I'm sure that Captain Sig Hansen of, the crab catcher, I'm sure he would like to, when he leaves the dock, like, okay, we're going to take the exact same route and we're going to go exactly the same place. And we're going to do exactly the same. And he probably doesn't, right? Conditions will dictate, a little of that. And so as you become the captain, and you are the captain of your ship, I can't define that. And what fun is that, anyways, right? And, we wanted this to be fun. It should be fun. And so we're sharing our tools, sharing our expertise, sharing our method of trading with the hopes that you're going to become your own captain, and you're going to steer your own ship, sort of speak. That makes sense. All right. So as you look, sir, can you please show the trade performance of the NQ for 2025? Okay. So um, that's a big question, right? The trade performance. So let's discuss this, right? Um, why do you want to know the trade performance? So let me ask, right? Why do you want to know? The assumption is see, this is where old thinking, meets new thinking, and folks have been indoctrinated into, this notion of a trade performance, right? So there's a number of things here. Um, I'm not managing anyone's money, right? So, but the other piece to it is, what difference does it make to you, what my performance would be, or even what Swing Machine's performance is? If I showed you, which we could do, right, and we do during the Q School, the 5 minute for the past year, and if you had taken every single trade, I could show you a performance. I could do that. I could do that here. The the danger in that is, what I got to make damn sure that everyone understands is, that performance is in the past. That may or may not happen in the future. So you got to be very, very careful about seeking the performance. But so I'm playing with you a little bit. But let me ask you some questions now. All right. So we can. So the question is, what is the performance of the five? Well, first thing is, you didn't say. So is it the performance of the 1 minute, the 5 minute, or the 3 minute? Is it the performance of the 10 minute, 20 minute, 1 hour daily? So you got to tell me the interval. So what's the interval? So I'm gonna play with Raul. What interval do you want to know? What's going to be your trading interval, right? No, we're not on that big of a delay, so we should be able to communicate back and forth with each other. So I got some questions. So if I don't get any answers back, then I'll just keep chatting. All right. So you got to have you got to know the interval. Now you also need to know some of the other things that you need to know is, what about the hours? Are you going to trade every minute of every day? Are you going to trade between 4 a.m. and noon? Are you going to trade between 8 and 2? Are you going to trade at night? So now we need to know not just the interval, but we need to know the time frame. Well, Don, I don't know. Well, see, as we get into that and what we're drilling down to. So when you ask me for the trade performance, there's still so many more questions that you just don't know, that we do this, right? We do this during the Q school. I mean, it takes hours to do this, right? So we will like, okay, what do you think you want to do, and what market? So we need to know, the interval that you're going to trade. We need to know the time frame you're going to trade. We need to know the leverage that you're going to use. Now, the other piece to this is it's not possible to trade without drawdowns, and run-ups. So what about profit targets? You going to use any profit targets? Are you going to use any stop losses? Are you going to build in any other exits? All right. So so all of these things change one aspect of it, then you can radically change the results of the backtest. But then in the back of your mind, you got to say, well, and this is where people who think that this is easy, and they come in, and they spend all their time pursuing a backtest. What do I mean by a backtest? So let's just kind of graph this out a little bit. So let's say that you have a strategy and you want to know what this strategy has done. Let me see if I can do this from here to here. Right? I'm not even defining it. I mean, this could be a week, this could be 6 months, this could be 10 years. So you have a strategy, but we need to know, well, what's the, so these are some of the questions that you would need to consider. And this is, so I'll kind of write this out a little bit. It's kind of a good exercise of sorts. So you need to know the market, right? Because it's going to be different. And then you need to know the interval. But is the interval a time interval? What if it's point and figure? What if it's Renko? What if it's range bars? What if it's, so the interval is important. And then what is the time frame? Are you running this intraday? Are you running it on a swing basis every few days? Are you running it, day of week? Are you running it on certain days? Are you going to run it at night? I'm just going to run it. Well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, right? So, but you need to know, right? If we're going to do this back test, we need to know, right? And then is some other questions. Are you going to put on any money management skills? Are you going to have a stop loss? Because if you do, that's going to make an impact. Are you going to have a profit target? Are you going to use a percent trailer? I want to use a percent trailer. Okay. And that's fine. But do you know that percent trailers, even with time charts, can really distort the backtest? This is all up here. This is all a backtest. Right? And, I get these phone calls, not every day, but certainly every week. And I'll get a phone call from, and I think it's great. A lot of times it's a college kid. And he's in college, he's studying finance, he's going to be going to work for a broker. And he's, hey, Don, I love your stuff. And I've written a program. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. But I don't have the capital to run it. I want you to run it. Okay. Which I applaud everybody to do this, right? I mean, I do. So I'm very gentle with folks. But so you have all these different criteria, all these variables, right? that have to be answered. So when Raul asked me, hey, show me the performance of the NASDAQ, well, you need to give me more data. I need to know these questions and other questions. However, and let's just highlight this. Let's just go here. We talk about a back test. This is a back test. And so what everyone wants is they want an equity curve that looks like this. It's just kind of, moving on up. Beautiful. Okay. On this back test for whatever it is, that's the equity curve. And you get that. Oh, and he's worked on it for months. A lot of people can spend way, way too much time. But then you could have all this, Raul. And guess what? It doesn't mean, and hear me when I say this, it isn't just a liability statement. What's happened in the past may or may not happen in the future. It just may not. And you have to come to grips as a trader, and especially an algorithmic trader, you have to come to grips with this. This is the uncertainty, the madness of it, right? And some people can't handle uncertainty. They just can't handle it or can't accept it. It's uncertain. All right? Now, we are in the realm of probabilities, though, so it's not totally uncertain, but there's an uncertainty to it. And the sooner everyone can learn to embrace uncertainty, your life becomes pretty nice, pretty comfortable, actually. It's when you are so rigid that everything has got to, be so certain, all these round pegs got to fit in the round hole. It's just, there's certain people, everything's got to be just, perfect. They get up at a certain time, they shave at a certain time, they drive a certain way, everything, that. So we can work on this back test though, right? But come to grips with the fact that I could show you a fantastic equity curve. You could answer all these questions and I could show you a fantastic equity curve. But that doesn't mean that next week or the next 6 months that's what you're going to do. What kind of bullshit is that? Well, it isn't bullshit. It's the fact of life. It just is. As a trader, I'm being brutally honest, brutally frank with you. Now, but the other piece is, though, you might tell me the market, you might tell me the interval, you might tell me the time, you might give me all of these, and we run the back test, and it looks shitty. It looks shitty. And yet, you might run it, and it might do really well. The other piece is, what we'll begin to teach you is that maybe if you change the interval, you tweak it a little bit. Or you tweak this, or you tweak that, and then suddenly the equity curve goes from being shitty to being pretty good. But then again, it might do that in the future, and it might not. Maddening, right? Maddening. And I used to say to Susie back in 2002, 2003, Susan, why are we spending all this time on a back test and all this time testing if I can't bank on it, Susan? Why am I doing this? Why are we doing that? Why don't I just, trade candles? Why don't I just... And so Susie was really the person who said, Donnie, you don't understand, right? This is mathematical, and we're in the realm of probabilities. Probabilities. I'm like, okay. So one of the things that you can do, so let's say you run a back test and you got all these different variables, right? And let's say that there are 100,000 back tests, because the computer can run 100,000, not dollars, 100,000 tests. You can run millions of them. And the computer can run these permutations, right? It can do it in minutes, and can do it, can take days, but it can run all these permutations. Well, one of the concerns that you have to be, and what I'll say to the person, the college kid that calls and is spending all his free time doing this sort of thing, is what they don't understand is the more intervals they put in, because you can put on even more, right? Variables, not intervals. Variables, they run the risk of there being what is called a curve fit. So, for instance, and a lot of times, if they share it with me, which I don't even want to ask, I don't want to take anybody's work or anything, but they'll take a stochastic, they'll take a moving average, they'll take a MACD, they'll take all the shit that's in these little toy boxes of these firms, and they'll plug them all together, and they run the back test with all these variables, and they get a fantastic equity curve, right? But what they've done is, because the computer goes through all these permutations and says, okay, well, yeah, if you had run all those permutations perfectly for that 6 months, that's what you would have done. But then in reality, it doesn't run anything like that at all. Why? Because what it did was it curve fit. It fit it perfectly for that period of time. Now, we used to have to do something. What we would do is we would to vet, to check, to vet, to stress test, we would change the interval. So if we did a 6-month period, we might go back 2 years and look at that 6-month period and try to do what? To randomize the data, to check on the probability, and to try to see, not that we're trying to break the equity curve, but to see what it could do. TradeStation has a tool that they paid millions of dollars for. They don't promote it a whole lot, and mainly because I think most don't understand. They do, but most don't. And what is this? It is a forward test. And you can take the 100,000 of these tests and you can drop it into a tool of TradeStation called the Walk Forward Optimizer. Long story short, what it does, it randomizes the data. And then it will produce an equity curve, but it'll also produce other details. And it can tell us what is the best day of the week, what is the best time, what is the best stop loss, what is the best, and it can give us more information on this. It can also, that's why we know things like moving averages and shit generally don't work, because we can take that type of back test and drop it into a forward test and it just goes to shit, no matter what you do with it. So I just, I didn't expect to talk about it, but the question went there. So when we develop a strategy, we do the back testing, right? But we don't try to over tighten it. We don't try to overdo it, because we're cognizant of the curve fit. And we will do forward testing, but we're not trying to get it to be, something that's perfect, because you can over tighten it and overdo it, right? Now, one of the things when you ask about Swing Machine, now I have members here, most likely, here passing by, hearing. What we're able to do, Raul, is the equity curve on whatever market and interval, when you ask about performance, will vary. But one of the things that Swing Machine is consistently doing is, it on any interval, the profit factor actually, I don't want to say necessarily profit factor is the drawing a brain fart. Um, is the well, it's a not necessarily the profit factor. A profit factor is going to be the hard um, result once the trade has concluded. A risk factor to us, it's the same, except that the trade hasn't concluded. And what we see over and over and over again on any interval, excuse me, losing my voice, in any interval, is that we're getting profit factors or risk factors is what I was looking for. A risk factor that is 2, 3, 4. Meaning you're for every dollar you risk, you're making 2, you're making 3. So it has Swing Machine has very high risk factor on any market, any interval. But turning a risk factor into a profit factor is going to take other tools, and it's also going to take what? Acquired trading skill. And I got to blow that up. And maybe you have it, and maybe you don't. But we will work with you. Oh, shoot. That's okay. We will work with you to help you develop the skill set. So if anybody within the sound of my voice is thinking, oh man, this guy's trying to sell me this program and I don't have to do shit and it's just going to automatically print me money and I'm going to quit my job. No, just move on. I'm not. I'm not. No, we're not trying to sell anybody any one program or anything. You need to have, if you want to one day be a full-time trader, trading your own capital, no boss, no flying, no paperwork, or, to the extent you're going to need to have good acquired trading skill. And it's going to take time, it's going to take work, it's going to take discipline, it's going to take patience, and it's going to take an understanding. And I'm not out to change anyone's view of the world or anything, because that's Abby in the background. And so if a person comes into the trading game and they have it, in their mindset of what it is, that's fine. I'm not going to fight. I won't fight with that. But you need to have that. So let me just erase all this. Let me back it up. And we'll come back to some things, and I wanted to show everybody this too. So when we come back here, yes, 16 minutes ago, if you had shorted the NQ, you're up $280, $300, right? Yes, on the 5-minute, 108 5-minute segments ago, you're up 2,100. But the question is, do you have the acquired skill set? Do you have the knowledge of when to take profits and to be able to manage that? And see, when we do that back testing, and even that forward testing, and a person embraces that as a trader, then they can know. So like what we also want to know isn't necessarily the performance, but what is on the 1 minute between the hours of 9 in the morning. Why 9? Because we get the most margin. In 3 in the afternoon. Why 9 and 3, Don? Well, because I don't like to be trading in the last hour, and I want to use the most margin, good use of capital. So between the hours of 9 and 3, what is the average run up and what is the average run down? And what we see consistently is that also that risk factor. The run-ups are usually 2-3 times higher than the rundowns, which is great, which means that it's putting us over, the fishing hole, right? But you got to have the skill set to get the fish in the boat. So one of our traders would look at this and he'd say, you know what, I'm going to take this, Don, but it's a counter trade to the 5-minute. So I'm not going to take it with a mini. I'm going to take it with 5 micros. And because it's a counter trade, Don, I know that the average winning trade is, $300 on the counter trade, and I'm only using 5 micros, and I'm up $150. I'm going to take the $150. Boom, 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 without even thinking about it, right? Without even thinking about it. So to answer your question, Raul, can you please show the trade performance? Yes, but you have to be able to give me a lot more than just trade performance. And then you have to have you have to be aware, and that's all I'm trying to do is make you aware of other things beyond just the money. I gotta make the money. I gotta make the money. Does that make sense? Let me show you something. We're gonna have some fun here. This is Swing Machine with the NASDAQ 100 on a daily basis. On a daily basis, right? And there are 100 stocks in here. And I just sorted them. I can sort them either way, right? So here is the big stock for Swing Machine in the past 6 months has been not Seagate, but Western Digital. 171 days ago, if you had put, and I think we have this purse set at $10,000. $10,000. And you had put $10,000 into Western Digital at 4 p.m. on May 1st, you would have 32 grand. There's a performance. But that doesn't mean that they're all going to do that. Doesn't mean that you're going to do that. Now, we may have, I can't say that I know for sure, but we may have members that put in $10,000 and made $5,000 and then got out. There was no reason to get out. That's where Swing Machine can help you get in, help you stay in. What we would teach folks is, when you get tested for your greed, if you put $10,000 in and you're up, $20,000, maybe you take out your original investment or half of it, or maybe you sell some covered calls and let the rest of it run. But let me do this. I'm going to randomize the results here. So let me see if I can go find this. Yeah, here it is. I got this little tool here. Yeah, I love this thing. All right. So we're going to have some fun. Let me bring this thing into view. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try. So I don't want you to think that I'm cherry picking here. All right. So this has, let me see if I haven't done this before live, so we'll see if we can do this. All right. So we have, counting that, how many there are? I think there are 100. Oh, for heaven's sakes, where is it? There are 100. There are 99 stocks in here. 99. So, let's see here. Oops, what did I just do? It's hiding. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I can do this. There it is. I just got to click on it. All right, so we're going to make it from 1 to 99. And we're going to spin it. So you want to have an idea. Now we could do this on any time frame. All right, so this is 93. So let's go look at stock number 93. Now you may not want to short, right? You may only want to go long. So 93 is Texas Instruments, and it went long 22 days ago, and you're down $105. I'm going to round it off. We're down 105. We'll just do this for 5 of these. You get the idea. All right. So let's go and randomize. So you don't think I'm cherry picking, right? Say this done. Where's my cursor? And let's spin it again. Number 10. Let's go here. Here's number 10. This is a short 108 days ago, and you are positive. We'll round it off. It happens to be MicroStrategy, 5,557. All right. It's Abby drinking in the background. You hear that dog drinking? Holy smokes. Where's this thing? Where'd it go? There it is. All right, so we'll do it again. $18. We're short $2,799. And let's do it again. $95. $95. And see, Swing Machine is very, very good at kicking out the losers. So now it's not going to be perfect. We can discuss some of this, and I'll be happy to answer. It's down 200, and then let's hit it again. So what I'm trying to do is to show you a randomization, but without making I don't want to make any claims because there's still some issues here that we can discuss. Where is this thing? There it is. And let's hit it again. And 76 is $88. All right. So in round numbers, you're going to have written them down. I'm just going to do this in round numbers. 55. Let's see. Let me get my phone out. I'll go ahead and add them up. So 5 positions, which would have been 50 grand. And so we got 5557, that was positive, plus 2799 plus 88 minus 105 minus 200. 8139 divided by 50,000. Oh shit, 81.99. I did, yeah. So you're looking at, I did it wrong. I don't want to add it up again. I'm going to call it 80. I think I said 8,200. About a 16% return. Okay, but a couple of things. First thing is, Swing Machine kicks out losers dynamically. So it's possible that you took a trade on IDEX and it was a long and it kicked it out and you didn't kick it out and you stayed with it, and you wouldn't be up. You wouldn't. It's also so Swing Machine is doing some things dynamically, but it's also true that if you took Western Digital for 10,000 and you got up 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, You might take it out. And that's going to impact performance, right? Um, I love doing this because, and you can do it on and by the way, we can randomize this. This doesn't matter if it's stacked up, if you randomize it. I won't take the time to do it. We'll do it maybe another day unless folks want me to do it on the whole S&P 500. You still will get the same. What happens is, I know this because we've done this so often, is I'll have members say, Don, they'll do it here. Like, I see this every day. Oh, I'm not going to take that right now. I see this every day, but I don't get the 3,500. Why not? Well, because as soon as I get up like $100, I take it out. Or my account was down 200 and then I'm up, and they start making decisions purely on the money, on fear and greed. So you can have all the best tools in the world on an intraday basis or even on a daily basis with the S&P. And if you start making decisions on the greed and the fear, like, oh, well, silver's got to be the top. I've made so much money. I got to get out of it. No, maybe you don't. Maybe you're just going to sit tight, right? Does that make sense? And I got to go back because I can't see YouTube. So maybe I'm sparking some thoughts, maybe, which would be great. And let me see if I can answer anybody's questions and if it makes some sense. I think I've stunned you. So we can do the same thing here. All right. So I'll let you guys write the number. I'll try to write them down. I won't do it with 10, but I'll do it with 5. Right. But I guess what I'm trying to explain is that there is no holy grail. There is no one tool. We have dozens of tools. We have members saying, like, well, why do you keep making them? Because we keep getting ideas. We keep, they're helpful, right? Why doesn't, when a carpenter shows up to your house to build a staircase, right? He's got or a plumber, he's got a truckload of tools. He doesn't use them all. If he's got a job to do and he's just going to fix under the sink, he comes in with just a couple. But if he's got to, replumb the house, God forbid, he's going to be there for days. He's going to probably use them all, right? At one time or another. These are tools. These are tools. But if you never do it, if you never put, one day I want to write a novel. Okay, great. But if you never put pen to paper, you're not going to write a novel. And you might be the next Hemingway. I don't know. But if you don't do it, if you don't take any action, we will never know. You will never know. Now, a lot of people are going to be taking action because it's January 5th, the first week of the year. Where are you going to be in the third week of June? Where are you going to be in September? I have guys and girls, a lot of members. I have one guy and they'll say, Don, I just don't have the time to do this. And then he'll tell me, but I'm going out duck hunting out in Nebraska for 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. You don't have time for Q school, but you got time to go duck hunting. All right. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. It's a choice, right? It's choice. My contention would be, but I'm not going to explain this to anybody that can't connect the dots, be like, what, if you learn how to do this, you might be able to go duck hunting for 6 months a year. I don't know how what the duck hunting season is, if you're able to. But let's do it here. Let's stay with this. So I'm going to pick 5, totally random, right? I can sort these here. I'll do it this way, right? So this is totally randomized, and now I'm going to come in with the randomizer, right? So we got swing machine, and it's set at the purse is set at $10,000, and we're gonna pick five. So let me go get that little tool, right? So I'm coming now. Let's go look at how many we got here. We have number one is the index. Let's see, make sure that we're all populated here. So there's 501, it appears. Looks like 501. All right, so I got to set that randomizer. Let's see. All right, and done. All right, so we're going to set this to 501 or 500 because that first row is the. All right, and so we're going to spin it. All right, number 140. All right, so let's go look. Let's go see symbol number 140. CSX. So 22 days ago, if you had gotten the signal to buy, now you would have to make the decision. Well, Don, I don't know, if I put $10,000 into CSX, it might go down. Yeah, it might. It might. I can't. If you can't live with some risk here, this isn't for you, right? So, but let's write it down. So, but we're up real time. We're up $27. I'm just going to round it off. That's number one. All right, $27, $10,000. So you'd still be in it. You bought it 22 days ago. 22 days ago. All right. So let's and I tell you what, we'll only do this year. If we get any of these that go back like 2 years, we won't count them. We'll hit the randomizer roulette thing again. All right, so let's go get this. So let's hit it again. This is number 2. Let's spin it. These trades got to be this year. $163. All right. 97 days ago. This is trade number 2. If you had bought DAY day, you'd be up $417. All right, $417. But Dawn, when I bought it, I didn't know if it was going to go up. I didn't know if it was going to go down, and I don't know. No. Yeah, all right. No, we never do. Never do. But it's still, for 97 days, Swing Machine has been long, this bitch. You're still in it. You're up 4% on it, but let's keep going. Let's do number 3. Now, it would also be up to you. You might say, well, I'm not going to take any, I'm not going to do any shorting. I don't want to do any shorting, but we'll take the shorts here if you don't mind. Let's spin it again. This is number 3. So what I'm trying to do is I don't want people to think I'm cherry picking here, right? So I'm trying to think of a way of randomizing. All right, number 5. All right, so let's go see what position number 5 is. Number 5 is CEG. And on CEG, you are in fact down. And by the way, it was 11 days ago, and you're down $265. All right. And let's hit it again. $223. Let's go get 223. What is it? 223. Boston Scientific. There's a story behind that stock, but it was 23 days ago, and you're up 340. So that's number 4, and we're going to just do 5, right? We could do 10, but we're just going to do 5. You get the idea. And then we can have a little conversation about this, an intellectual one of sorts, and which I like, about risk taking and so forth. And this is number 5. $221 is this guy. All right, so it's a short, and it's matched, and it's $15. Okay, so let me just add it up. We haven't set the world on fire, um, but we also have managed risk. Now, we were not picking these. We're not picking these based on a roulette spin. Swing Machine is picking these based on money flow, and I'm using the spinner to randomize the results for us. So the first one was 27 bucks, 419 plus 340 plus 15 minus 265. So $536. We use 50,000. So, and I don't think most of them were like 20, 30 days. There wasn't much. So we're on a percentage basis. You want your percentage, which we don't really like to use for a return, but would be 1%. I've been seeing your channel for a while. Find quite fascinating how these bots work. How much would one of these tools cost? Sure. So I'll answer that. But that's what we're doing as an example. Okay. Now, again, please, I'm trying to randomize the results, and I'm trying to be brutally honest. I am honest. Swing Machine is doing something that you may not appreciate, so I want to make sure you understand. So I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to sort them. All right, so on the S&P 500, SanDisk is the top stock. If you had bought it 102 days ago, back in August, yes, you'd have 52 grand, 10 grand, 500% SanDisk. I don't know, is anybody in Western Digital and Seagate? I mean, these are the stocks that are running. All right. And then Fiserv is actually a short 189 days ago. But one of the things that Swing Machine is doing that you may not appreciate here, and I want to make sure that I explain this to you, even in passing by on YouTube. If Swing Machine gets it wrong, so let's sort the other way, right? So let me just scroll down. Here's the whole S&P 500. I'm going to show you a few things. All right, so he's long and short, right? And come down, what you see, green, right? Profit, percent return. And he's long and short, right? He's managing all these trades. And so this is not unusual for us at all. So out of 500 stocks, he's profitable in 417. The yellow ones means he's flat, and then yes, he will have drawdowns. And here are the losers, right? And if I sort them the other way, we'll bring the losers up to the top so you can see them. And he will have drawdowns. He will have losers. However, one of the things that he does day in, day out, without emotion, without grinding, without just that, without emotion, is this one went short Nike 10 days ago. It went short. And he's down 10%. Now, you may or may not have that trade, but if you had shorted it, yeah, you're going to be down 10%. But if Swing Machine goes long on Nike, he's going to kick out the short. He's going to kick it out of here. You're not going to see it. The loss will be there if you had taken it, but now he's going to go long. So I just want you to know this: he is actively managing these, and he's kicking out the losers. And whether they be long or short losers, he's kicking them out. Now, if you start holding on to them, oh, honey, it'll come back. It's Nike, or I'm like, super, But and the same thing is true. Not only does he kick them out, but he'll also stay in if there's no reason to come out. And what we see is we do. It's amazing, and Wall Street knows this. Retail traders do two things that are really bad, and it's emotional, and it's on greed and fear. They don't know it, but because they'll say, "Oh, I'm not trading greed and fear. I'm not fearful," but they don't get any kind of return. They don't get any results because they're trying to be right. They put a value on the win-loss ratio, and they won't accept the loss, and they hold on to it. There's an old saying that an investment is a trade that went bad. Honey, don't worry about it. We bought Pfizer, but it'll come back, and the bitch never comes back. And you're down, 66%. This is up 66%, assuming you shorted it at 198. I mean, it's at 67. I don't know what the hell is wrong with that thing, but it's probably not coming back. So when a person holds on to the losers, it'll come back, a la Dave Portnoy, and it doesn't come back, then you have that negative outlier. The other one, though, that is more insidious and we think more damaging is, even for an investor, is I better get out of SanDisk because I'm like obscene. I've made an obscene amount of money, and it's got to come back. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. No, the bitch may keep running for years. Or that they've missed it. So it's all these emotional decisions around greed or fear. But see, there are not tricks, but there are trading lessons that we will share with people. Like, so for instance, and again, like if I don't have SanDisk, but if I did have SanDisk and I had bought $10,000 at 43 and I'm up 500%, and I'm my greed, I'm like, wow, I wanted that money, honey, I want that money. What you can do is there's a number of things that you could do, right? I mean, you could take out the 10,000, take out another, take out 15,000. You got a 50% return on the investment, and let the rest of it run. And set a break even and let it run. And maybe you have SanDisk for the next 5 years. And don't make decisions on the money. If you are calling your telebroker or your broker day in and day out and checking on your account value, and you're feeling good, feeling bad, you are not helping yourself. You are hurting yourself, and you are no closer to becoming a professional manager of your money than the man in the moon. I mean, you're just trading greed and fear, right? So does that make sense? So I've been watching a channel for a while, and I find it quite fascinating how these bots work. Out of curiosity, how much would one of these tools cost? So, great question. We invite you to visit. I'm going to slide back here to Swing Machine, and I'm happy to answer any other questions. What we're showing you is Swing Machine Plus, but we have, this is what we do, right? We build proprietary trading tools. We don't sell any individual tool. We don't. We give them all to you. All of them. All 70. And during the year, we're going to create more, and we're going to give you those too. We lease them to you for a year. You do need to be an annual member to Stock Market Caddy to get them. But before you do, like even today, if you say, oh, I'm signing up, you're not going to be able to sign up. I'm not going to let you. We're going to slow it down. You have to go through what we call a Q school, just once, a Q school. I want to spend 3+ weeks with you teaching you how to use TradeStation, teaching you how we trade, teaching you how to use these individual tools, how to approach it, answering your questions in a live trading environment, giving you an opportunity to work with these tools so that at the end of the 3+ weeks, you can say, Don, you're a nice guy. I learned a shitload about this, but this isn't something I want to do, and I'm not going forward. I'm very confident you will get a great education, and what you'll learn will help you immensely with your brokers and managing your business. There's no question in my mind. On the other side of the coin, though, I really hope that at the end you say, this is great. I like this shit. I really, really like this. and I want to do this, John. So I want to become an annual member. If you become an annual member at the end of the 3+ weeks, I'm going to give you back 30% of what you spent for the Q School. And then I'm going to start sending you all the tools. And then you're going to get underway. And we're going to give you some guidance, but then it's going to be learn to trade your game. It's going to be on you. It won't be on me. I'm not going to be managing your money. I'm not going to be, it's not a trading room. Oh, let's go buy this, and all that nonsense and on Reddit and Discord. I'm not doing that, right? And we've been doing this. If you're just hearing me for the first time, it's a miracle you found us, because we haven't been doing this for 6 months. We haven't been doing this for 6 years. I've been doing this now since the early 2000s. Stock Market Caddy came out of the ground basically around the time frame Twitter came out of the ground. And we thought, hey, I wonder if there's folks out there that want to do this. By the way, the CME runs challenges. They run challenges, futures trading challenges. If you go back and look at some of our YouTube videos, they're the most recent one. There were 2,300 futures traders in the country. Probably a lot of college kids, going around the clock and everything. And got a trade on their platform. I couldn't automate, but I had a trade on their platform. It was from Sunday to Friday at 1 p.m. It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we finished number 6 out of 2,300. We had another time we finished, that was our best finish. We had another time we finished 7. We were number 2 in the last 5 or 6 hours, and we finished number 7. We have a number 20. We're consistently in the top 5%, but we've usually been in the top, the very top. We're mechanical, systematic traders. And we have members that have blown us away. And their success does not take away from my success, right? It just doesn't. Does that make sense? So think about it. Now, the other piece is to this, not shown on the website. If you join as a monthly member, you get to see the algo tools on a video every night. So, for instance, be like, well, Don, I just want to know to pick, and you can trade stocks, right? So every night we'll show you, like, okay, so 2 days ago, AMD went long. 2 days ago at 223. Now, we might be looking at that in 60, 80, 90 days, and it might be up huge. It might not. It may kick out. And then there are also some short signals. So these in the last couple of days. So you get to see these. Now, you don't have to act on all of them. And you may say, well, I'm just going to use this to manage. I mean, so, so you get to see them on a nightly basis. You get to see all the algos. But if you, as an annual member, you get them on your desktop. And as well, here's here's Western Digital Seagate. I didn't even fully appreciate that Western Digital. It's a name from the past. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but money is flowing there in a big way. Let's see. And now, as well, we also teach, so we have a multitude of radars, right? These radars are very sophisticated, very, very good. They're not using moving averages. They're not using stochastics. They're not using MACDs. It's proprietary. But in some of them, we can explain, we will explain the logic in Q School of how these works and how we designed them. Some of them are black boxes even to us, though. Right? We have a timing model that we call the Nicholas, and it's based on 3 data streams: the data of the underlying indice, the 10-year Treasury, and the VIX. Right? And I can't even, there's nothing on the chart for me to see. But if you want tools for charts, we have those too. And I'll give you an example. So here is, and we will use Renko charts as well. Right? We use time charts, we use tick charts, we use Renko charts, we use custom Renko, we use point and figure, we use range bars, we use Kagi, we use a ton of them. And we'll have you using them all. But here, each one of these bricks right now is on an NQ is $200. Everything you see here, this is the pivot information that is unique to us, that we can put this daily pivot information onto a Renko chart. This is what we call the C points. These are little buy signals here. And although I am sitting on a short position of 5 micros, and I've been sitting on it since December 29th, so we haven't been doing that much trading over the holidays here at all. At the end of the year, you'll get so that you can control, hopefully, your income. And, it's like, okay, let's just wait until we get started again. There's no sense paying the tax man more than we need to. But if you had taken every single trade here, we can go in and look. And this is just since last night. And let's just see what the performance is here. Okay, so it's still at 7 trades at 545. Winning percentage would have been 57, profit factor 1.3. But it is long here, and so she is experiencing pretty good drawdown right here. I can see that here, and that's not reflected there. But and this trading can be, fortunately with TradeStation, it can be automated, right? You can get the machine to put the trades in and out, and you can trade multiple markets, multiple time frames, do some really, really incredible things. A lot of brokerages won't even let you do that, and they're never going to let you do it, some of them. TradeStation does. Some countries won't allow this technology to be used in their country. So, not sure what that's all about, but if you are in another part of the world, you will want to find out if you can get TradeStation, because our tools will only work on the TradeStation platform. It's super. It's unbelievable what we can do. Does that make sense? All right. So I kind of wanted to randomize. I like randomizing it. Would like to have had a little better result on the S&P 500, but and it's having those few. It's having the discipline to and when you get mechanical, to have the discipline to stay out, right? So Swing Machine is excellent at keeping you out of a market, right? On whatever interval, like stay away. This isn't the time. Then it's excellent in getting you in. It's also excellent in getting you out. Like, hey, we made a mistake. You got to get out, right? You got to get out. But it's also excellent in getting you in and keeping you in. When you're like greed meters, like, oh man, I got to get that money out. No, a lot of times you got to just stay put. Let me show you silver. This is silver futures. We have a member. Let me do this. Let me show you something. I'm going to put it on a daily. All right. Now this is going to make you sick, right? Let me put in here another point. Well, first let's just look at silver on a daily basis. 157 days ago. 157 days ago, and I've got the date hidden just to save room. So let me put the date in here. Let's see. I'm going to put the date back in. All right, so here's silver on a daily. 157 days ago at 35.12 at 5 p.m. on May 21st, if you had put $12,000 into buying a mini silver contract, now you'd have to, you'd have more. You could certainly, it wouldn't be a problem. You'd have plenty of that contract would be worth $206,000. Now, this is a fact. I have a member that did this with a ETF. So let me add a blank row. Let me explain to you what they did. SLV. Now, SLV, let's see, I'm going to put it on a daily. Okay, it's taking a minute to pop. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do it this way. I'll put it on a daily. Why isn't it changing? Uh-oh. I don't like that. Okay, I don't know why it didn't change. All right, so it's got to populate here. It'll take a minute or two to populate. Um, it'll refresh in a minute. So the SLV is also silver. It's an ETF, and it's trading at 69.31. And it's not in my memory bank here on my computer. So let me hit refresh again, and it should populate here in a minute or two. It's got to just feed the data, and it'll compress. Um, but I'll just share with you what happened was this member was looking at silver on a weekly and a monthly. I'll go ahead and change it. See, let me see if it'll populate. Um, huh. That is weird that it's not changing for me, so it's a little problematic here. Um, that should be changing. It's kind of weird. Here it is. There's the weekly. Should have been changing. Maybe overloading my computer. So on a weekly basis, they were looking at silver, and they put I want to say it was close to $100,000, $50 to $100,000 into silver, and in a retirement account, a Roth IRA underneath 25. It was mostly 22, 23. And they were sharing, and I said, when it gets above 25, I think I would just stop, right? So they ended up putting about $100,000. SLV, when SLV got to, and their broker, now they had a broker, and the broker said, "What are you doing buying silver? It hasn't done anything. You don't want to be buying silver, you know." And they just fortunately ignored him. They said, "Just do it," and he put it in. When silver got to 30, when SLV got to 35, the broker calls them and says that you might want to sell it. I think you've done really well, but you might want to sell it. Now, what is really amazing is what the person said to me was, Don, he's never called me to sell a stock. I got all these other stocks that have gone to shit, and he's never called me to sell a stock. So, but they told him, just leave us alone. And look what SLV has done. And they got quite a bit, right? That same broker called them about a month ago and said, I'm putting my clients into gold and silver now. And I said to them, that could be a signal that it could be near a top, but in any case, and she's not populating. I may be overloading my computer right now, so that's not a fault of TradeStation. That's just I got a lot of videos running right now. So let's see if I can hit refresh again. Why that's not populating? Yeah, she's just not going to populate on me. So I'll take it down. I don't want to have a computer issue right now. But that is a absolute word for word true story. So you can have these tools and still have your brokers, and financial advisors, and when they tell you or they suggest to you, for instance, you come here and they call you up and they say, I don't know, hey, do you want to put some money into Broadcom up here? Maybe not right now. Because Broadcom's in a short signal, they won't know. But not right now. I think I'll wait. I won't short it, but I won't. I don't think I want to buy it right now. I think I'll wait. Just wait. Just wait. Look at yeah. So, but in any case, and if you have some now, we're big believers in being diversified, not in necessarily in what you hold, but we do believe in diversification in what you can do and what you can do. So if all you can do is buy and sell meme stocks, you're not too diversified. If all you can do is, buy a stock and you don't know how to short a stock, you're probably not very diversified. If all you can do is buy a call and sell a call, or sell, buy a put, buy a call, you're probably not very diversified. I mean, you want to know what the difference between a debit spread and a put credit spread is in options. You want to understand how to do covered calls and how to use this technology to get the information you need to do some covered call writing. You can make thousands of dollars. A great way to get, like dividend on steroids. If you have a stock right now or a market and you want me to plug it in on an interval you're choosing real time, you go right ahead and tell me, and I'll plug it in. Let's look at gold, right? Let's put gold on a daily. So 92 days ago at 5 p.m. on August 25th, if you had bought a gold futures contract at 34.54, you'd be up 100 grand. Not the percent return is obscene. The percent, that's 29% between the entry price and where it is now, but because it's leveraged, the return is multiple. These kids are down here smoking dope on Bitcoin. Like, I know Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. Jesus Christ. Excuse the French, but silver, like I say, you could have taken in 157 days, you could have taken a $12,000 investment in a futures contract and taken it to 206,000. How many baggers are that? And they're all waiting around like, I will trade in the Solana. I mean, come on, get an education. It doesn't have to be from us either, I mean, come on. Get out of the Discord rooms. Get out of the Reddit. You're not learning from other dummies. And I just mean it. I mean, it's silly. It's silly. Get with somebody who is trading day in and day out, and if they will take you under their wing for at least a portion of the year, teach you what they've learned, teach you how they approach it, and you can either accept it or not, or take it or not, and learn to trade your game. But if you think you're going to go into a Reddit room or a Discord room and you're going to learn from some Yahoo, how to, or from Dave Portnoy and his green hammer, I mean, give me a break. It's not going to happen, kids. It just isn't. Right? I am not from Wall Street. I am not from Madison Avenue. I spent 25 years of my life with surgeons, teaching surgeons how to do surgery. And I never had a biology class. But I was always interested in the markets, and you know what? So weren't they. So weren't they. Maybe, I don't know. It seemed to me that all those surgeons were, but maybe because we had more conversations about that than maybe about other stuff, truth be known. They're great business people. In the early 2000s, in an effort to teach my wife Susan how to manage what we had accumulated and go forward, we started to develop these tools because we now had the technology to do it. The internet now was high speed. The cost was down low, and for execution. And then so I took a sabbatical and then never went back. And Susan does her trading and so forth. By the way, when you join Stock Market Caddy, the cost is the cost. We never go up on you. We just keep increasing the value. Also, when you join, if you go through the Q School and you join as an annual member, we'll give you a baker's dozen. So you'll have the tools. It takes us about 2 weeks to send you all the tools, but we'll tack on that time, plus we'll give you an extra month free. And then every year that you sign up, we'll give you one more month free, up to like 6. So to give you a, for instance, we have a number of members now because we've been doing this so long that their effective cost, their effective cost is so the gentleman wants me to answer a question, so I'm going to answer it. Yeah, I'll answer it. How can I join your group? Okay, so their effective cost has been cut in half. All right, so the gentleman Grow Mind, I'm sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. He wants to know how to join. Let me go get, the first thing is you want to go to the website, right? So, so let me bring it into view. You want to come here. And you want to, this is the website. So explore the website. And then our membership, if you come here, it's explained right here. The monthly membership is $99.95 a month. And it explains what it is. There's a little video description. The Q School is $3,000. It's 3+ weeks though. And we're together virtually every day, ideally every other day, but it's 3+ weeks. And this is non-refundable. It's a one-time purchase. You never have to do it again. There's a little asterisk and it's explained. If you decide at the end of the Q School that you want to become an annual member, we're going to give you back 30% or $1,000 off of this, and we can apply it toward your annual membership. And this is the annual membership. The repeat member for Stock Market Caddy, after you've done that the first year. So the first year there is a big commitment on your part and on our part. But after that you become more and more and more independent and off and running. The renewal is $3,500 a year. But every year you return, we give you 1 month free, up to 6 months. So where I was starting to go is that, yes, we have annual members that their effective cost is $1,750. And you may be like, well, that's great. Yeah, but they stayed with us. They worked hard, and we have we have members that have had profit factors of 80, 90 in a given week. I mean, it's not all the time, but if you don't even know what a profit factor is, then I would suggest to you, you're kind of wasting your time a little bit, because if you don't know what your profit factor is, you don't know what to work on, and you're not running your trading as a business, right? So we're trying to teach folks to trade as a business, to create cash flow out of the money flow. All right. So, but be sure to go and look at the website, watch the videos that we have there, try to get an understanding. If you still have questions, grow mindset. You can email us, and then you can also call me on any day between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. at 813-758-8263. But understand, this is we're in to trade your game, right? I'm not gonna hand the fish out, but we do get to know each other pretty well during that Q School. And you can see here too, on an intraday basis now, you can see this 1 minute did lead off. It was 71 minutes ago, and now the 5 minute went off at 12:40. So the NQ is now selling down. Make sense? All right. A lot of talking there. It's 1 o'clock. We're not going to be up that much longer. So if you've got any questions, let us know. Look for us, the middle part of a day. The more people that turn out, the more questions we have, the more that we'll be apt to do these free sessions. But when we do the free session, it's a chance for you to ask questions. It'll be the middle part of the day. May not be every day, because we're, busy mornings, afternoons. We're doing it again. This is what we do, right? This isn't, stock market caddy didn't come out of the ground 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago. This isn't a creation of AI. This is real. This is, 20 years of program algorithmic trading. We were building AI tools before AI was AI, and and garbage in, garbage out. I mean, can AI help around the edges? Yeah, but is AI, AI is AI. I mean, it's just a filtering system, and you're still going to need whatever it is you do. You're still going to need to have a quiet skill set, especially in trading. Trading, I can't emphasize that enough. Um, but we're going to let you watch, and you can see now the 1 minute ES is now also getting short. Don't rush out and go short. Don't do that, please. But it is a counter trade to the 5. We'll see if it pushes down. Um, the VIX has been long since 10:45, so it's rather unusual that the markets held up as long as they did. We want to see that VIX continue to trend upward. Right now, it's a little mixed. It hasn't really responded, and we should probably put gold back to a 5 minute interval, and put silver back. Our members work very, very hard. They're very disciplined. The successful folks, they're very disciplined. They're very patient, and they work very, very hard at what they do. They're trading their own capital. We lay out all the tools like a buffet table. Then they pick and choose what they like, what they want to do, and they understand the game. And the game is, this is like the Bering Sea, and we got to drive the boat. We got to drop the pots over the side. We got to come back around. We got to pick up the pots and put the crab in the hull, and then head to the house. And that's what we do. It's a business. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. And I don't really, we don't worry about that, right? This isn't obviously for the masses, right? This isn't, I mean, this is going to be something that you really, really, really want to do, you know, and that you enjoy. If you're going to be a crab fisherman, you probably got to enjoy, fishing, right? Do you ever look at the charts? Yes, yes, we do, but less and less, quite frankly. Um, so it's kind of like flying a plane. What you want to see is the horizon. I'm sure it's more comfortable, um, to see the horizon when you're flying a plane. Um, it's probably more comfortable to you. But the problem with charts is, and there's a person out there that recommends, or actually has a book, I think it's called Trade What You See. And we find sometimes that people get chart blindness, and they start putting crap on charts that they don't understand, or that they don't use, or they don't need, or is just poor, like moving averages, like stochastics. And they listen to people, or books, but listen to people that say, when this line crosses that line and that line crosses that line, then you do this, and it works, and then it don't, and then um, and um, so we're trying to teach folks, if you can learn. So one of the things, in Q School, this is the swing machine is the first thing that we teach, and then we encourage folks to try to trade from here, because if you can trade from here without looking at the chart, right? If you can fly the plane in when you can't see the airport, um, when you can see the airport, you're gonna be a lot more comfortable. That makes sense. That's the only way I can describe it. But yes, but we do use charts, and all of this can be put on a chart, right? So give you, I mean, so we can take the 1 minute, right? We could put this on a 1 minute chart, and the machine would have gone short right here, and you would be up about, give or take $5 or $10. You'd be up $1,300, $1,400. Absolutely, we can trade, and we can even trade the 1 minute in the direction of the five. We can put in a third time frame. Say only take the 1 minute in the direction if the three and the five are already short. We can do that. We can trade the ES as an example, we can say only take the 5 minute short if the 5 or 10 minute VIX is in the opposite direction, because the VIX is giving us an indication of what the option traders are seeing and thinking. So we can do that. If you like to trade options, let me just show you. Let me bring into view if I can here. We have radars that will give you option trades, and let me show you. Let's see if I can get it here. Yeah, here it is here. So let me bring this into view. All right, so this is going to be a little bit, yeah, so see, I don't have this size right for YouTube. So yeah, I'm sorry. So it's not the right size. I got to get this all sized up for YouTube. Our other tools, but see, this radar will give you option trades. Now it's not going to be perfect, right? But it gets you in the right neighborhood. I won't confuse the issue right now. We'll get this all set up. We changed streaming services, and which is much better. So you're hopefully getting a very good image and a very low latency. So we got to get it sized though. But because YouTube really wants we have wide screens, right? Which is probably what you would want too, but at home. But for YouTube, they want that 1920 by 1080. That's to give you so you don't get any distortions. And then we have radars that will tell you, like if you like to use Rinkos and range bars, it'll tell you what the suggested brick size should be, right? And so there's a lot of things. But we approach everything from a mechanical. Let me get my thing back open so I can see you. But you could absolutely be looking at a chart, and you could be at a different chart. It could be you could be looking at point and figure, and you could filter, and you can change. Let's just put this on a 60-minute. Now Swing Machine. Okay, so Swing Machine went along the NQ on an hourly basis 5 hours ago. It's actually underwater, right? So it probably was up for a period of time, but but it won't stay there, right? I mean, it may have to take a loss and then flip and get short. On a daily basis, let's go look on a daily. It's probably been long. Yeah, it's actually been long for the last 10 days. Not up a whole lot. On a weekly basis, put on the NQ. On a weekly basis, it went long 34 weeks ago. On May 23rd. And yeah, you'd be up not 17%. You're up 18% between the entry price and where it is, but on a futures contract, you'd be up to 77,000. Now, to get long a futures contract on the Nasdaq, you got to have 32, 33,000, but you virtually have doubled your money. I got to put this back. Any other questions? Thanks. I hope I answered it. But yes, we do. We definitely do. Okay, I'm going to let you continue to watch. 83 minutes ago, right? This was at 11:57, just as shortly after. And this trade is now up 2,100. Now there could have been, some losers in there, right? You can't trade without drawdowns. You can't trade without losers. Your equity curve is not going to go up peak to peak to peak to peak to peak to peak. It isn't going to happen. So if you are emotionally riding the accumulation of money or the distribution of money in your account, you're at a distinct disadvantage. Well, Don, how else do you trade? You don't do that. That's for Dave Portnoy and for all the gamblers out there, that all want to sit around the room and throw shit at the screen and, hoot and holler and everything else, play fantasy football and bet on it. That's for gamblers. We're not gamblers. Sorry, I'm not. We're mechanical algorithmic traders. We trade with surgical precision. It is what it is. It's a great business. It's a great life if it's something you enjoy. If it's something you enjoy. If trading is a source of frustration, a source of anger, a source of fear, something you don't like, I strongly suggest you don't do it. It should be fun. We spend way too much time, right? We'll let you watch. I'll be right back though. Any questions, let us know. I will say we appreciate the retweets. We appreciate the awareness creation in some of these trading rooms because there may be some other folks out there that want to learn. And if we get more and more people to show up in the middle part of the day, we'll be more apt to do these little question Q&As. Okay, so I had to take a quick run out with the dogs, and so we're still the minute chart is ripping against the shorts, coming up a little bit. Just machines, just other machines. That's what you're trading against. You've been trading against machines for decades, going back to the 70s, right? They've been doing this a long time, folks. But the day and age of calling your broker and your broker and, hey, do you think you want to buy Lululemon? They're making those see-through yoga pants. They're going to be really hot, and people are going to be trying to lose weight in January. That sort of thing is it's gone. It was always never around. They just didn't teach you, right? They didn't want you doing this. There are countries that don't want you doing this. And if you want to do this, then we can help. Now, you can take it and run with it and go further. You can go as deep and as far as you want to go. And we have had folks that have just blown us away. They absolutely have. And to keep perspective, right? You want to stay grounded. There are 24 possible trading days in a month. 24 if you trade futures. And we count Sunday nights. You take Fridays off, which I think is a good idea. You start early, start your week early, start on Sunday nights, start your days early, end your week early. You're down to 20. $100 a day net is $2,000 a month. One market, 24 grand a year. Well, Don, I want to make $1,000 a day. Okay. Admirable. All for it. That'd be $20,000 a month. 20 grand a month. One market, over 200 grand a year. Admirable. Are you going to do that out of the gate? Probably not. Why? Are you prepared? Can you afford to lose $1,000 a day? Well, no. Shit, no. I only want to make $1,000 a day. Oh, okay. I only got $5,000 done. Oh, okay. Well, if you're out to try to make $1,000 a day, you have to be prepared to potentially lose $1,000 a day. Now, it's not likely, if you've got any game at all, that you're going to lose 20 days in a row. Not entirely likely. But you might lose 2 or 3 days in a row. Well, Don, I can't do that. Why not? Because I got $5,000, and if I lost $3,000, I'd wipe out more than half my account. Well, then no, you can't. No, you can't. So you have to start out small. And fortunately, with micro contracts, you can start out small. They're just as liquid. So if you are out to make $100 a day, you have to be prepared to lose $100. $100 loss on a $5,000 account isn't going to be that big of a deal, right? And you grow, and you hone, and you work, and you stay patient. But Don, I see you lose $6,000. I want that money, and I want that money. Yeah, and you run too hard, too fast. You drive the car too hard, too fast. You got to go to Lowe's. You got to go to Home Depot. You get in your automobile. Do you drive 100 miles an hour to get there? You get there real fast. Get home real fast. We had a kid, 19 years old. 19 years old. He was driving his car on I-4. He got arrested 154 miles an hour. I'm going to throw his ass in jail for fucking, excuse the French, I just said a bad word, for 10 years. 154, The thing of it is, he'll hit somebody, kill somebody else, but not himself. But, so, excuse the French, excuse the bad word. No slap on France, by the way. We have a lot of members that speak French and everything, so it's an old saying. Um, from the Boston Bruins. We grew up hockey fans. We didn't like Montreal. Beautiful city, by the way. Beautiful country. Beautiful country. But we didn't like the Montreal Canadiens, right? Because they used to kick our ass. They're real good hockey players. All right. Any other questions, let us know. We're going to let you watch right up until 2 o'clock, and then we'll need to turn down. And so I'm not going to tell you any kind of narratives or stories about the market or where gold and silver is going and start doing some Fibonacci's and this. We will do all that and then some during the Q school. We will, but you gotta learn those things in small doses, and I think you gotta learn those things in a perspective and with some disciplined tools around them. Otherwise, you're gonna get so confused when it comes to the chart, you won't be able to, get vertigo. You won't be able to tell up from down, down from up, and you won't know whether to, wind your ass or scratch your watch. You just get too confusing. We're out to keep it simple. Again, I taught surgeons how to do surgery without a single biology class. Go figure, that's a story for another day, but I did. Um, you don't have to have worked for a bank. You don't have to have come from Wall Street. I can't tell you how many times we get calls from Chicago from floor traders that say, Don, please help me. I traded on the floor of the Chicago Exchange. They don't have the pits anymore. I can't trade this crap. I don't know how to use the computer. I don't know understand it. It's just a different game, and it is. And we love teaching. I like people. I love seeing people empowered, and it's my way of getting back at the bastards. There was a time, there was a time in the early 2000s, man, I was very, there isn't anybody more skeptical of the markets, more contemptuous of them than me. There isn't. Didn't like them, don't like them, and but we rose above them, and now our payback is to teach other folks how to do it. If you want to do it, right? And but time, the most valuable commodity of all, more valuable than silver and gold. Can't make it, can't buy it. You can't steal it from Venezuela. Did we steal some silver from them? Did we? There was something about a 747 flying, 800 tons of silver someplace, or did somebody else do it? Oh, maybe it was about oil. I can tell you what it wasn't about. It wasn't about drugs. Mm-mm. No. Because if it was about drugs, we would have taken over Mexico. So we didn't quite do that. But any case, I digress. It is what it is. That stuff's always going to be going on. Next stop, probably Greenland. Next stop, Cuba. Oh, God. Oh, well. As long as they keep the markets open, keep the electric on, we want you to have a good life, right? And pretty boring. When you're trading, it's when you're trading well, it's boring. So we haven't done a whole lot of active. We're still short the 5 micros. Don, you've been sitting on them. Yeah, I have. I have. I will do that sometimes, especially during the holidays. I'll just sit on it for a while. We'll let the correction come in, and then we'll go from there. We got a weekly plan. I have a weekly plan for each market that is part of an overall weekly plan, an overall quarterly plan, an overall annual plan. And I'm out to get that plan under my belt, ideally sometime in November. And then basically, more or less take the month of December off. We just relax everything down, work on new things, which we're doing, and have a great life. Stock Market Caddy, we have a limited number of annual licenses every year, and as we did this past year, we stopped around the November timeframe. But now it's wide open. We have folks rolling into their Q schools, and if you're interested, be sure to reach out. We want to be sure that we're ready when you are, and we can talk over the phone and make sure we have the dates available for you to get you started and underway, so that you can write your own novel, write your own success story, pen to paper. Got to take action though. Nothing happens without taking action. Good action. We're going to let you watch. Any questions, let us know. And I can't resist. I did see the headline, right? That's one of the downsides of doing what we do. We do see the headlines. We don't trade the headlines. We don't trade the news. But did you see where that piece of shit? I wasn't going to say it, but Tim Walz from Minnesota. Here he was, could have been potentially vice president of the United States. It figures. They're all this way, though. But not running for governor of Minnesota. Been running a fraudulent, oh my God, stealing from the taxpayers. They need to tar and feather that dude. Needs to be prosecuted, thrown in the hoot scow. Unbelievable. And here he was, talking to us. What a bunch of thieves. Needs to stop. I think, hopefully it's going to. I also think there's something to this Maduro coming out, that it's, Trump wanting to get hold of, the election fraud and everything else. I think there's also a part of it too. Um, I think a lot of it was coming out of there, a little rat's nest. But he's not going to run for governor. Unbelievable. They've stolen millions, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, taxpayer money. I don't have a morality issue with what we do. If you do, the only way I would say is that what you have to understand is um, markets cannot exist if they don't have liquidity. You have to have liquidity in a market for a market to be efficient and for there to be a market. Because if you didn't have liquidity, what you would have is you would have boom and bust, bust and boom. You would have everyone piling into the market because it's going up, and it would just blow up, and then it would blow down violently. But when you have liquidity in a market, and it goes up, comes back, goes up, comes, that sort of thing, then you have ideally price discovery based on whatever. Now, the people, some people want price discovery to be on their terms. They're accountants, they want to get in there and look at the intrinsic value and everything. That's fine. And I do too when we're making an investment that is going to go out years. But when you're looking at the price action intraday, there's no time for that sort of intrinsic assessment. And there never has been. There never has been. That's the whole lie. It's always been machined. So when you're putting in your time and you're putting in your capital, as we're doing here, I need to get rewarded, and I am contributing by putting my capital in here then taking it out, or and it's been in here for a little while, I'm contributing to the liquidity of the overall market, and I expect to be rewarded for that behavior. That's what we're doing. We're liquidity. We're market makers in our own right. Okay, everyone. We're going to sign off at this point. Thank you for stopping by. We will put the link back up for our annual members. Have a live feed 24 5.5 days, and we'll put that we'll renew that right back up on the website. Thank you for reaching out. Thanks for the questions, and we wish you the best. Let us know if we can help you.